Hey everyone! Today I'm making a birthday card for my sister-in-law. So I've got a card base there that I'm just going to set aside. And then I have this in capture embossing folder by Uniquely Creative that I'm going to use. And then this vintage script stamp set also by Uniquely Creative. And these Elizabeth Craft Designs floral dies. A couple of inks. And of course Loki, my keeper of my blending brushes. And I have a sheet of cardstock here, which is the same cardstock that I created the base out of. And I'm going to trim a panel down to 4 by 5¼ inches and stick it in this embossing folder and go run it through. Look at how nice that turned out. I love that texture on there. And now I'm taking the lighter of the two inks and I'm just roughly putting it over that panel. I don't care if there's little bits and pieces that are not perfect on there because I'm taking the vintage script stamp and stamping over some of those anyways. And once I'm happy with the background, I'll set it aside and work on die cutting all these flowers. So I cut a ton of them out. Also, I cut some leaves out of some silver matte cardstock. And now I am taking the darker of the inks and I'm inking up all of those floral pieces. I skipped a lot of the footage of inking them up because you don't need to see all that. But I'm bringing in this foam craft mat and I'm turning them all upside down and using a stylus to kind of go in a circular motion almost and give some texture to those petals. And then I flip it over and press down the center just to make them look a little bit more realistic. So I skipped through a bunch of that. You can see I've got all the flowers done now. I tried it with the leaves. It didn't really work, so I just kind of bent them a little bit. And I found that worked better. Next, I will work on gluing all the pieces of the flowers together. So I've got my Barely Art glue and I'm just gluing each layer down. I left the largest layer off of this flower because I wasn't sure if I wanted it on there or not. But later on I will go and add it in. I'm just laying them on the card to see how it looks, see what it needs, kind of add some of the leaves in there. And then I decided to bring in some silver thread. And so I'm dumping all the flowers off, just kind of wrapping it several times around there and laying the flowers on to see if I liked that look. And I did like that a lot. So I'm dumping the flowers off again in a second here and then sticking the thread onto there. I usually just use Scotch tape, but I was out of Scotch tape, so I stuck a little bit of washi tape on there and then right away glued the panel down onto the card base so it was secure. And then here's where I decided I did want that larger piece of the flower. And then I'm adding my favorite Spellbinders Splatter Effects Sparkle. Now everything is dry. The sparkle is all dry, so I'm just taking things off and actually starting to glue them down onto the card itself. So I glued some leaves down, glue the flower down, and then I just kind of position everything, glue the leaves first, glue the other flowers, basically put it all together. I am seriously loving how this card is coming together. I love the look of it. I love all the texture on those flowers, and I really love those colors. So hoping my sister-in-law really likes it as well. Now there is another part of those flower dies that is like a little centerpiece for the flowers, but I have these water droplet gems that I like to use in the centers instead, so I'm just gluing those in there. Now the sentiment really stumped me for a bit because my plan was to make this for a birthday card for my sister-in-law, and I had this happy birthday stamp that I was trying to position. I tried to do it in one of the colors that's on the card and it just wasn't quite what I wanted. So I did end up stamping it in like both of those colors, also in black, just to see how I liked it. I really wasn't happy with it. I don't know if it was just the rectangle sentiment cut out on there that I didn't like, but I will end up bringing in my Syberia Designs Self-Care Sentiments stamp and die set. It is one of my favorites in my craft room. And I will stamp out both the "You are important" and "You are loved" sentiments. And I stamped them in VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, which is one of my favorites, well, is my favorite for stamping sentiments because it's so crisp. And then I heat set it with Wow metallic silver embossing powder. And then I will take the coordinating die and line those up, add a little bit of washi tape to hold them in place, and I cut those out. I honestly use these so much. I just love this stamp set and the dies that go with it because they just shape the sentiment more. I don't know, I just liked it way better than the simple happy birthday that I had, so I went with the "You are important." And then I brought in this Waffle Flower Inside Sentiments birthday stamp set. And the card was too thick to put in my MISTI, so I'm practicing on some scrap paper, and here we go, but it stamped perfectly. So here is this finished card. Look at how gorgeous that is. You can see a little bit of the sparkle and shine. I really am pleased with this one. So it says "You are important," and then inside, "Celebrating you today and every day." And that is it for this card. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that, please hit the like and consider subscribing if you want to see any more. And have a wonderful, peaceful rest of your day.